I was just going through my books. Um, just reminded me when I was in South Africa. Um, when I got my last job that I had in South Africa, my ambition was to come back home to Malawi and start my own business. So I made it a point that every month I should buy a book, to empower myself with knowledge that will help me to start a business when I came back to Malawi. But these are the books that I used to buy. I've got a lot of books that I bought. It's a pile of them. It's just the other day, I just took a few books just to go through them. And one of the books that I managed to get was this one. This book is called The Casino Handbook. It's about the casino. And in 2003, at the time I was working for Grandwest Casino, which is a Sun International subsidiary. I was working as a supervisor. And then I managed to get a job, which was an internal advertisement that was in the company. They were looking for shift managers in Kimberley. So I applied for this job. The story of how I got this job is also a very interesting story. So I'll tell this story one day. But when I got this job, the management at Grandwest decided to host a party for me. And then at the party, they gave me this book. It's the Casino Handbook. And there was a message written in the books, which I would like you to see. I don't know if you'll be able to see properly. And the message said, "A word of thanks for all your hard work and expertise regarding the reports. May your future be bright and your dreams come true." And it was signed by the casino manager at the time. His name was J.P. Morgan or J.P. Morton. So they gave me this handbook. The reason why they gave me this handbook was, when we got the job, they were looking for 12 supervisors. And in the team of the 12 supervisors that they were looking for, all of us, we were new in the casino. So we didn't have any experience in the casino. So they had to randomly pick people who applied and choose these people that they felt were capable enough to be able to work in the casino as supervisors. Grandwest Casino was the biggest casino in Africa. It had about 1,350 slot machines. So they needed to have shift managers. At that time, they were looking for 12 shift managers, 12 supervisors that were going to be able to manage the casino during different shifts. So when we were interviewed and we were selected, so we went for induction. So in the induction, everybody had to introduce themselves. So when my time came to introduce myself, to say my name is Ted, I'm from Malawi, originally from Malawi, everybody was surprised, and then the attention went to me. And each and everybody inside the induction had something to say about Malawi. And none of the stories that were told were good, because everybody came up with stories like Malawi being the poorest country in the world, And so there was so much negativity that was said about my country. So when I went home, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to have a tough time in my new job. She said, why? I said, no, because in the interview, when I mentioned that I'm from Malawi, everybody talked a lot of negatives about my country. So I'm sure all of us being new, each one of them was very comfortable to say, at least there is somebody who is going to be the underdog in the team. Everybody expected that me coming from the poorest country in the world, I was going to be always at the bottom in terms of maybe performance in my work. So I knew that I had to always pull my socks and I had to prove myself that I was capable of doing the job that I was assigned to do. So all of us being new, we were introduced to what they call CMS, Casino Management System. At that time, Grandwest was the first casino in the world to use a smart card, meaning that in many casinos, when you go there, as you enter the casino to go and gamble, they will give you chips or they'll give you tokens. So you would use your tokens to operate the slot machines. But Grandwest was the first casino to eliminate the use of tokens in the casino. So they were experimenting with what they call CMS, Casino Management System, which was using a smart card. This meant that when a punter or anybody else who is coming to play or to gamble in the casino comes, they had to first go to the cashier's desk and take their cash and load it into a smart card. So every time they want to gamble on the floor, on the slot machines, they have to insert the smart card in the slot machine and start playing on the machine. So every amount of money that they win on the machine was loaded in the smart card. So the smart card worked the same as the bank card works. So you would play on this particular machine, and then money will be loaded. Your winnings will be loaded in the smart card. So when you want to move to the other machine, you actually cash out the card from the slot machine to go to another machine. Now, if you make losses on that machine, the money will be deducted from your card. So when you finish gambling and you wanted to cash out your money, you would go to the cashier's desk to cash the money, just the same as you would go to an ATM, but you would go to a cashier's desk and you cash your money. So this was a very complicated system, because then it meant that in the casino, when people are playing on the gambling machines or slot machines, anything can happen. You can have maybe blackout, or you can have system hiccups, whereby when a customer is playing on the machine, all the money in the card would disappear. The money in the card was not called money at the time. When you're playing on the floor, it was called credits. So I would say all the credits would disappear in your card. So a customer would complain to one of the GSS, who were the guest service attendants, that there's something that has gone wrong with their card. So the guest service attendants will run and call one of us, who were the supervisors. So our job was to find out what happened to the money. So as you can see, you can think about it, your job was to do some investigations to find out how much money was in the customer's card before this system hiccup happened. So you will have to do some calculations. So the casino had a system that you would go on a computer, which was only accessed by supervisors and shift managers, to pull a report that will give you all the calculations that are required for you to find out how much money was in the card. So we had a couple of reports that we used to pull. I remember there was one which was called the CZ10. The CZ10 was the significant events report. This CZ10 report would give everything that was happening on the machine, whether the customer, what time the customer came onto the machine and inserted the card, how many times the customer placed the button on the machine, how much credits the customer won, how much credits the customer lost, how long the customer stayed there. If he cashed out the card off the machine, it will also report what time the customer cashed out the card from the machine. And then we had another report which was called the CZ15. The CZ15 was a report that would show how much money was in the customer's card when they inserted the card into the machine, and how much money they had won in the machine using meters. So every time you place a button, there would be movement of meters, and the meters will move depending on whether you're winning money, how much credits you're winning, or how much credits you're losing. And by the time you're cashing out, it will also give out how much money was in the card based on the meters that were moving on the machine. So you had to do some calculations to see how much money was supposed to be in the customer's card. So your accuracy was very important, meaning that you had to make sure that when you do your report, you're giving the actual reports and you're doing the actual calculations, so that when you are refunding the credits back to the customer, you had to be very accurate. And all of us being new, everybody was always, whenever there was a problem like this, many supervisors were running away. So for me, I knew that, first of all, I was an underdog. Everybody expected me to be somebody who was going to be at the bottom, meaning that I was going to struggle. So I knew that I had to work hard. So I made sure that I understood what was the CZ15 and what was the CZ10. And there was also one, we heard that there was a technician in the casino, somewhere in one of the casinos, who came up with a formula, and it was called Jack's formula. Jack's formula was a formula. His name was Jack, so they gave the formula Jack's formula. So Jack came up with a formula where you were able to calculate using this formula, whereby you just go on a spreadsheet and you just put in the meters, and it will be able to give you the amount of money that was supposed to be in the card based on the meters that were put inside, that we were putting on the spreadsheet. So it made it very easy for supervisors to be able to calculate. But sometimes some meters will not be available, so it made it very difficult for us supervisors to be able to calculate what was really supposed to be the credits in the customer's card. And I came to discover that there were some technicians. So on the floor, you had supervisors who were us manning the slot machines, and then we had the technicians who were always on standby whenever there was a fault on the machine. And then we had also the surveillance department that was always checking on the slot machines to see what was going on in case something happened on the slot machine. And when you do investigations, you would work hand in hand with the technicians as a supervisor, and also work with the surveillance people. So the technicians, I learned that there was now the CZ15, which also the CZ10, which also had some meters that were moving, that were, since it was called a significant event. So everything that was happening on the slot machine was moving, was recorded in the sense of meters. So if you put a card inside there will be a certain amount of meters that will move. And if you press the button, there'll be a certain amount of meters that will move. And also, if you win some credits, there'll be a certain amount of meters that will move. So you had to find out how to do the calculations and deduct the meters that were done based on the movements of the card, the pressing of the button, and the credits, for you to be able to make sure that these meters corresponded with the meters on the CZ15. This was a very, very complicated way of doing an investigation, up to a point where I mastered this, how to calculate the credits that were on the customer's card, not using the CZ15, but using the CZ10, which not many supervisors were able to do. But I was able to do it because I had the help of some technicians who showed me what was going on the machine. So I came to understand what was really going on, and I was able to relate that with the CZ15. So whenever the CZ15 failed to give us the answers. I was able to get the answers through the CZ10. And I found many of my fellow supervisors got interested to learn more, and I was trying to explain, but it was so difficult for my fellow supervisors to understand. So I came up with my own formula, which I called TED's formula. And this formula, I was using CZ10 meters to calculate what CZ15 would do, calculate using the meters also. So, yeah. So this is one of the reasons why I managed to get a job in Kimberley, because of me being able to understand how to do these calculations. Because it was very important for a supervisor or a shift manager to be able to understand how to do these calculations. Because if you understood how to do these calculations, that means you will be saving the casino a lot of money, because these kind of hiccups used to happen quite often. So it came to a point where during graveyard shifts at night, because when you're working on graveyard shifts at night, graveyard shift was a shift that started at 12 midnight to morning, to maybe sometime in the morning. So it was a very difficult shift. And during this shift, we'll be in the casino, and there will be like a few guest service attendants. As a supervisor, you were in charge of the floor. So you were in charge, you were almost acting as a shift manager, but there were shift managers. There will be one shift manager available, but most of the times it was the supervisors who will be manning the floors. And then will be a few of us. And in many cases, there will be like, sometimes there will be only 5 guests playing on the big floor, the casino. There will be only maybe 4 guests, 10 guests. So it was very, very quiet. So what I used to do is I used to take my GSAs, the guest service attendants were our junior. Then I'll spend time with them on the stations, because in the casino was divided into 4 sections. And each section had a computer, because they put a computer so that whenever we had some issues on the floor, instead of you going to the office, you could quickly run to the station and you can pull a report and do your investigation to help the customer fast. So I would spend with my attendants there, teaching them how to pull out a CZ15, how to pull out a CZ10 report, because we discovered that sometimes when the casino is very busy, there will be like a lot of hiccups coming on the floor. So you will have like on that floor, like you will be as a supervisor, we would be something like 4 supervisors on duty. And then you find that each one of us will be helping like 4 or 5 guests at one time. Because there were times like in the month ends and weekends, the casino will be very busy. During holidays, it will be very, very packed. We had about 1,750 slot machines, if I'm not mistaken. I think I remember it was like 1,750 slot machines. And it will be so busy that every slot machine will be occupied with guests. So whenever there was hiccups, then there will be a lot of guests that you're dealing with. So instead of running to the office to go and pull reports, you would go on this station and pull reports. So I used to, during the graveyard shifts, teach my service attendants how to pull these reports, meaning that whenever it was so busy and I'm being called, I advise them that by the time they're calling me to their slot machine, they have already pulled the CZ15 report and they've already pulled the CZ10 report of that machine. So that when I come there, the reports are there already, and then I can go to the office, do my calculations, and I help them. So it used to save me time so that I don't go pull the reports myself and other stuff. And little did I know that the management were able to observe what I was doing. So they were able to see that I was being proactive, I was thinking on my feet and all those kind of things. So when I got the job in Kimberley to go and work as a shift manager, the management decided to buy me this book as a present, which I still have up to today. And I'm sure if one of my managers, JP Morton, if he can see that I still got this book and I still got his signature in the book, I'm sure he can be very surprised. Yeah, so I just wanted to share this so that you can also see where I come from. And I've just made it a point that now I will be sitting here and sharing my experiences in South Africa. You know, when I worked in the casino, when I worked with uh, Distel, I've worked with Nittlingshof Wine Estate, I've worked with Boschendau. There are so many stories that I can be sharing that people can enjoy. So that was what I was doing because I knew that in the casino, I had to prove myself. There were so many things that I did there. There was also, as supervisors, we had a duty whereby supervisors, our duty was to, whenever it came to disciplinary hearings, we were the ones to formulate charges for the juniors, for the staff, whenever there was anything that they were supposed to be sanctioned with, like if an employee was absent or there was some misconduct that they had done on the floor. And also the casino, because it was a gambling premises, it was being controlled by the gaming board. So the gaming board had some procedures that we were supposed to be following to make sure that there wasn't, because in a casino, a lot of things can happen. People can come to the casino to clean money. There can be a lot of crimes happening there, corruption and all those kind of things. So the gaming board, which is a government department, put up procedures that we used to follow that would control to control the casino so that these kind of things don't happen. So we had to follow strictly these procedures. So if you did not follow these procedures, you were taken a hearing for misconduct. And we had to go as supervisors, for a training for a course called Industrial Relations. I have got a book I'll share, and I'll actually talk about this book, which I got from this course. And when we wrote the exams for that course, I did very well. I was actually the instructor, the lady that was teaching us. She actually, when she gave us the results after we wrote the exam, she said, "But Ted, you have done very well. You can actually chair a hearing." The course that we did was for us to be able to formulate charges in a hearing. So in a hearing, you would have a charging officer, which was us as supervisors, and then you have a chairman who was able to impose sanctions in the hearing. So she said, the way I had passed this course, I passed with high marks to a point where instead of only being able to formulate charges, I can actually chair a hearing. So I can actually impose a sanction. So that was how I did very well in the casino. Within 1 year, I was promoted to a shift manager. And but because I had a mission to start my own business when I was in Kimberley as a shift manager, I quit my job to start my own business, which failed also. But I will share that story one day. Somebody has advised me to write a book, but I feel instead of writing a book, I think it's best that I should be sharing these kind of stories so that I can keep them, like in audio form. Maybe I can find somebody who can be able to write my story, because I'm not good at writing. So yeah. So I just wanted to share this story. Tell me what you think. If you are in South Africa, what do you think about this story? If you're a young person somewhere, what do you think about this story? Do you want me to be sharing more of my story so that you can understand or also enjoy the experiences that I had when I was in South Africa? Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
I'm happy. We've been talking for a little while now. People were telling me to come meet you because I'm in the city now.
Yes.